Okay, everyone. Welcome to Napoleon Total War. I'm gonna be doing Battle of Borodino this time around. Basically, it's the battle right before Napoleon um, took Moscow. So I'm also playing it on very hard mode. So let's take a look at this here.
If you want an Englishman to see sense, take his money. The Russians continued trading. Do they think I wanted to invade? To march on Moscow? And now, Kutuzov makes a stand at Borodino, some speck on the map. No matter. I will dine in Moscow yet.
Alright. So basically, we are gonna play Battle of Borodino on very hard mode. Or actually, I'm going to narrate my my replay of it in very hard mode. Maybe the next time around, I'll do a real time play, but this time around, we're gonna definitely do a replay. So let's load it up. And let's begin to talk about it. It was a close battle, not like my last one, which was a decisive battle. And if you're watching this, it's May the 4th of 2022. And it's impossible to ignore the real world situation of it. Hopefully peace comes very soon between Ukraine and Russia. It was wrong of Russia to attack Ukraine. And I'm hoping that basically the Ukrainians drive the Russians out of their country. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I hope that peace happens and the least number of people get killed, especially civilians. No civilians ever have to die in war. So that's my little speech. Let's go back to the game. So basically, this is during Napoleon's invasion of Russia. Excuse me. It's the Battle of Borodino. So it's right before Napoleon takes Moscow. And Napoleon is basically sick with a cold right now, much like me. So during this battle, he had to delegate much of the combat. I don't think it was very smart of Napoleon to attack Russia because, I mean, he had the best army in Europe and in the world at the time, the best European army, but. Russia's such a vast country that attacking it is not very smart at all. And if you know everybody knows the story about Napoleon attacking Russia, and then he takes Moscow and it's all burned and there's no one to talk to, and his army just starves fighting its way back to France, so he doesn't actually take anything at all. But this is before all that. This is the Battle of Borodino, where basically the Russians are fighting, the French are fighting the Russians head on. And the Russians have had a lot of time to prepare their defenses, right? These here are called the Bagration flèches, and they're, excuse me, they're sort of hills where they were dug to give some sort of natural defense on the Russian left flank. Right, against the French. I read the Wikipedia article before starting this, and what happened was most of the Russian army is actually off this map to the right of this village. Then excuse me. Oh, I have a little bit of something like Napoleon this time around, but I'll try to finish this video. Hopefully I can finish it. So most of the Russian army is not here due to bad deployment, but what is here has sort of very commanding defensive positions, right? They've got artillery here on these little hills, the flèches, and this big one here is called a redoubt. The artillery can actually shoot all the way across the map, and at least in the game mechanics, it's very, very, very brutal. What'll happen is the artillery can shoot your entire army and destroy it before it even has its chance to attack. So this is Napoleon basically sitting there, taking a look at everything. I don't know if he actually did this in real life from the painting or not, but he was back and had a little bit of a cold, so he was with his Imperial Guard in the back. And that's another thing that I don't like about this representation in the game. When I got to this map, I was really excited because I thought I would basically have a chance to control the Imperial Guard, right? Napoleon made a mistake in a crucial point in the battle. He didn't send his Imperial Guard in. And he had about 200,000 soldiers, 180,000 soldiers, and about 20,000 of them were Imperial Guardsmen, his elite troops. And in a crucial point in the battle, he could send them in to win, and he didn't send them in because he was sick, or he didn't know what's going on, or he didn't trust his commanders, right? His marshals, and because of that, the battle wasn't as decisive as it could have been. Basically, the French won this battle, of course, and but the Russian army was allowed to retire in good order back. So they didn't panic and flee. They basically sort of just fled. They marched back to Moscow, south of Moscow actually. So yeah, we're going to replay this battle, but at least in the game, head-on attack is really not advisable because what they've got here on this artillery, the artillery they have on yeah, the artillery they have right now, it isn't normal artillery in the game. It's they call it a unicorn here. It's like a howitzer, and the French called these Russian guns unicorns. I don't know what the Russian called them, but basically they're Russian guns, which are basically howitzers that sort of explode the shells on top of people's heads, and they're very, very brutal and very powerful. At least in the game, right? I mean, here's some more artillery here, some more unicorn here. So they've got 4 sets of artillery in commanding positions on the hills, and at least with the game mechanics, what that means is that they can shoot anywhere and everywhere here. And what you're gonna see is because of that, the artillery are gonna rout some units very, very quickly when I unpause. Another thing is, as we try to march through, if we wanted to do, say, a head-on assault here, it's very, very narrow here. Basically what you see here is a very narrow path. The soldiers get funneled through a very, very narrow path. If the artillery decide to switch to canister shot, they're going to kill a lot of units, and not just kill them, but make them flee. Their morale is going to go down the tank, right? So let's say if we decide to attack here too, right? The mini-map isn't really updating as I move myself across the map. But I've moved around the map enough so that hopefully you can gain appreciation of where everything is. On the right, there's this village, and there's sort of a forest here. As we move across, we have some Polish Legion here, mercenaries. I think these Polish Legion are the only elite troops that we've got here. As I said, I was very disappointed that we didn't get to use the Imperial Guard in this game, so we don't get, in this map, so we don't get any Old Guard or Young Guard or New Guard, whatever. We only get to use normal troops. We do have these Grenadiers, which are, I guess they're technically elite troops, but they're more like specialist soldiers. They're sort of for throwing grenades and bombs and things. They're not really, they actually can be defeated by a normal line infantry, right? So if you go back, you start seeing the cavalry, Marat, who is one of the horse commander for the French. You have dragoons, which are basically they can dismount, they can get off their horses and fight. And you have some lancers. So lancers, they don't wear the breastplate, but they've got this little spear. So some of these units are good for fighting different things. Like the dragoons are good for actually just shooting. So if you get them to dismount, they can sit on their horses and shoot. These lancers are good for the charging. So they're like medieval knights that go up and charge, but they're not very good at actually fighting because they don't have swords. So you have to pull them back and you have to charge again with the lancers. Here's Napoleon. Of course, in real life, he had his cold and he was nowhere near the battle. In the game, he's gonna basically be right here. Here's Napoleon right here, and he's gonna be going in the middle of the battle. Of course, that doesn't make any sense because if the emperor was really going to go into battle, he would go into battle with his imperial guard, right? He wouldn't go on a few horses and go in by himself. So you already see the battle, at least the initial order of battle was a little bit disappointing. And it doesn't really seem very clear how you can beat this because they've got their artillery in such commanding positions on the hills, right? You have these fusiliers of our line, so this is your one group of line infantry, and Saussure. These are two reserve battalions at the back here. And in front you have some grenadiers, and you have some more fusiliers here, and you have some Saussure, the light infantry. So basically you have a lot of units very, very spread out. You don't really have very many of them. I mean, over here, you have on the left flank, this is at the top of the map where I'm circling here. You've got your Swiss foot, so these are mercenaries, Swiss mercenaries. These are, I suppose you call them the elite troops because they're mercenaries. And here are light infantry, Saussure, and you've got two more groups of horses over here. So what exactly happens or is going to happen? Well, I mean, in real life, what you had was sort of this disposition here, and I guess the game tried to create a version of this with, you sort of see the hills there. This will be the big center hill, and then you've got these two small hills there. And most of the map at the top here is not on the map. It's not represented on the map, right? And then later on, in real life, what happened was the French just pushed forward because the Russian artillery was so badly positioned that the French were able to charge these excuse me, was able to charge these hills straight on. I think it was they charged the hills 8 times and they managed to basically get on top of the hills on the French right flank. So these flèches, they took these flèches. They took all 3 of these flèches by 4 p.m. They started at 6 in the morning, right? And they charged them multiple times to take these. That's not what we're going to do. We're not going to do a direct assault. This is very, very hard mode. So I actually got this strategy from someone on the Total War forum, one of his posts, and his strategy is very simple. What he does is he sends these fusiliers across this center bridge here, puts them in square formation, and when they get into square, well, what happens is at the back, the troops guarding the general, they abandon the general, and so do these troops. They all come and attack these troops here that rush across the bridge, or this crossing here. It's not actually a bridge, it's a ford, um, and then you defeat them, but more importantly, expose the general, right? And what he recommended on the forum was to attack this building here at the town hall. So you attack this building with your cannons because this building can actually be occupied. Not every single building in the game can be occupied by soldiers, right? This one can be occupied. And the reason why it's such a pain in the neck is because these guys here, the Pavlos Grenadiers, they're elite troops, right? Actually, most of the Russian troops protecting the critical points are elite troops. So these are elite troops. They're very, very hard to break. They're mercenaries, and they have very high morale, and they're very good at fighting, and they're very good at shooting, right? If you go on the Russian right flank, you can actually see that they also have elite troops here protecting their artillery. So they have lifeguard foot here. These are the ones that would be protecting the emperor. Lifeguards in general are elite troops of the monarchy. If you think of the British lifeguards, basically they ride those horses and they protect the monarchy. So these are the Russian versions of it, right? And then here, Grenadiers, these are also sort of elite troops. I mean, I call Grenadiers elite, but they're ordinary troops, but they're the 6-foot guys that you pick all the 6-foot guys you can and you put them into a group of, into a battalion. And remember, because this is a game where the scale isn't represented correctly, there would be many, many thousands more men. So this battle involved 150,000 men. Obviously, we don't see that here, right? We see only, if you add another 0, it might not come close to the number of men that would be involved in the fight, right? So if this one is 160, if you add another 0, it would come close to the number of men. But enough talking. Let's get this going. What's going to happen is, let's unpause this and let's get this going. So this artillery here, what happens is I immediately unlimber this artillery and it starts to shoot this unicorn here, the howitzers. Actually, I don't think that the unicorns are howitzers in real life. I took a look at them and they look like ordinary cannons, right? But in the game, they're howitzers at least. Right? That's what's mattering right now. It takes a while because this replay is actually recording the pause. As I pause, the game is continuing, and anyway, I'm not sure what's going on. It may have crashed. No, it hasn't crashed yet. Give me a second. Give me a second here. Okay, it's not crashing. There you go. The horses are moving. And see, there are howitzers here because you see this thing, this little icon here, it has a little explosion. So in the game, at least, these things are howitzers. And they're going to shoot and they're going to really, really ruin my day.
Victory, sir, is soon to be yours.
See, the game is bugged right now. It's saying that I've already won because the replay is bugged. But let's ignore the replay for a second. So here's what's happening. The artillery here is shooting at the center, and you see these howitzers. They're sort of exploding above the heads, right? So that's what happens to my artillery. It destroys my artillery. This artillery here, it's shooting that building that I was talking about, or at least it's trying to. And I'm sending these fusiliers across the bridge here to try and trigger the horses to come in. And if you look at my left flank, all my horses, they're going all the way around. So they're going to go all the way around, and if you guessed that I'm going after the general, you're right. I'm going to go after the general. Anyway, I already said I would go after the general. But to go after the general, these units guarding the general have to abandon the general first. So what's going on is these fusiliers have got to get across there. Now, if you look on the right flank, all these troops are going across and going into the forest. They're going to take a big right hook all the way around and basically go around the back of the town. They're going to attack everyone in the back, right? That's how it's going to happen. And here, what's going on is people are getting shot up by the artillery. See that? A few people are dying here on my side. But they'll be okay. They can survive that. And here are the Fusiliers. They're running. By this point of me playing, I'd figure out how to make my units run. So they can run across, and they're gonna run across here. They're gonna go. In a square, and basically. That's why wait for them to go across. They're gonna go in a square. I mean, I'm pausing a lot, right? I'm giving orders to my units. I'm pausing a lot. That's what's going on, and that's why it's not very smooth. Maybe one of these days I'll do a real-time replay of this.
Our men are running, sir.
See, what's running here is basically the artillery here. They got shot up by the unicorn. But what's gonna happen is these soldiers, they're gonna rally. And these horses, they ran. But I'm gonna be able to send these soldiers back to these cannons and use these cannons. So you're gonna see that in a second when I do that. Okay, here they are. They're across the bridge. And what I'm gonna do is I send them into square right about now. Right? So they're sitting in square. And square gives you a lot of morale bonuses. It's very, very bad against artillery, right? But I don't need to last forever against it, just long enough to survive against these horses. Pretty soon these horses are going to start moving. And let's wait for the horses to come. Here they come. Here come the horses. And these musketeers. So all of Kutsov, that's the Russian general's name, his reserve is going to come in to try and engage these Fusiliers that cross. I'm basically sacrificing these soldiers, right? I moved them across the little ford, and I know they're going to die. I'm keeping these light infantry behind. What I do is I put them into skirmish mode, so they're less of a target. And if you look at the other parts of the battlefield, I'm busy moving everything across. And here they come, the horses. They're coming. They're attacking the square, and the square is very powerful against horses. It's gonna almost rout the horses immediately. At least one group of the horses. So let's watch this. They start shooting the horses. They're dying. They're dying. They're dying very quickly. Okay, see, it didn't happen as I wanted it. I think I put them too far ahead, so I should have turned them into square a little bit back there later, right? And because of that, they ran a little bit sooner than I wanted them to. But it's alright because I've got the Saussure here. They're going to start shooting. And what I do is I bring in some grenadiers here as my reserve. So these grenadiers, they move in and they start taking the... See, they're spread out. All my light infantry is spread out. And the horses have run. There's only one more there to see. Cossack cavalry routing. 53 of the horses died. I don't know if that's worth 100 men now. But here are the hussars, and they're coming. And I'm going to start running these Saussure back to meet up with the grenadiers, who are going to go into square and kick those horses' ass. So these are going to run. These are going to start running pretty soon. And I mean, here they come. Here come the horses. I moved the horses here so that they can kill the general. Do I order them to kill the general? Yes, I do. Here they come. And I order a charge here to kill the general. Of course, this is nothing like the historical battle, right? Historically, there was a lot of cavalry charges, but they went head on into the fleshes, and didn't manage to kill the Russian general. I think some Russian generals did get killed, but not this guy. I looked that up later. But the horses go in and they go and I kill their general, which is good for the morale of the troops. Now back here, I've run my light infantry, and here are my grenadiers. They're in square. It's very powerful against horses, the square formation, and pretty soon they're gonna rout these horses. There's only 20 of them left.
We have killed their general, sir.
Alright, there goes
Now
their general.
they must break.
The horses are dying very quickly. Now here are the cannons here. I don't know if these ones, see there you go. The soldiers have 13 out of 32. They've rallied, so they can go back and use the cannons again. That's a little trick. If the soldiers are running, you make them use the cannons again. Here they come. The horses are running, and I set my grenadiers to line formation so that they can fight the musketeers. What I should be doing is using these sorcerers to screen the grenadiers. But what I also do is I bring this cannon up, and I'm using canister shot here, which is fairly broken, to try and shoot and damage the musketeers, right? I mean, it doesn't really have a good aim, right? Here they come. And I'm gonna win here. I've got the cannon and these light infantry and my grenadiers fighting. Now what's going on the left flank here is my Swiss foot and my light infantry are going to engage these grenadiers here. And take the village. Now the goal in taking the village on the top here, this village, is so that the soldiers, they keep reinforcing the village, the Russians, until they sort of open up all their defenses here, right? So they keep sending in reinforcements into the village. What I do here is I put my horses here so I can get ready to attack them in the back when they're vulnerable, right? And it's a little bit of cat and mouse, you'll see in a second. Let's turn up the speed a little bit. So what happens here is, see, I'm getting them all ready, they're getting ready. And over here, if you go to my right flank, you can actually see some of these, here, there's a bunch of cuirassiers fighting the Polish Legion, and they're losing because my soldiers are in square, and they're routed. They run, right? The square is really powerful. So on the right side, I've managed to sneak my way all the way across on the right side. And if you look in the center, I've also remanned these cannons. At least I think I have. There you go. They've remanned these cannons. They've started shooting again. And here, I'm shooting these musketeers, right? And the musketeers are losing. Losing slightly. They're gonna lose eventually. So let's watch this. What's going on in the village is the computers notice my mass of horses here. They're trying to engage, and I sort of play hide and seek here. I send the horses back here, trying to avoid getting shot. And let's do this here. Speed things up. So there they go. They start running, the horses. I run them a little bit too late, right? They get a little bit shot up before I run. And I send them really far back. I send them all the way back there. You don't want to use horses to charge head on, it's a waste. They're good for attacking the sides and the flank. I mean, I've already lost 20 horses. A lot of those were from attacking the general, right? And here's the elite troops, the Russians attacking over here. They start chasing the horses, but the horses are faster, obviously, so they're gonna run across back there. And this gives me a chance to send my troops here in front to take the village, right? They don't manage to take the village before the grenadiers come back. They actually have to fight them. So we're gonna see that in a second. Alright, see, the grenadiers move back, and I'm not fast enough to take advantage of that. But I do move in to attack. And you see they're trying to use their Jaegers to screen their back here. But as soon as, the AI is not very good, so as soon as I engage these grenadiers, these ones in the back, the Russian Jaegers, the light infantry, they're going to come back and try and help these Pavlovsk grenadiers. They're also mercenaries too. I mean, if you look here, the horses, the Russians, they sent the musketeers here, and I'm fighting the musketeers because I'm going at very fast speed, right? So we missed this fight. I beat these musketeers off with melee with the grenadiers because I know my grenadiers are better at melee fighting, right? So sent them in like this. I probably didn't have to do that. And now, as you see, the computer is sending more troops to the village to try and protect the village, right? So here, my light infantry is shooting, and they're losing, right? And so is this Swiss foot. They're also losing because these grenadiers are so awesome. And I don't really have my soldiers deployed in that good of a line here, right? They're sort of like this. They need to be really spread out in a long line, and I didn't really do that.
Our men are running, sir.
Now, you see, I sent these horses back here to attack this. I sent the horses to attack here like this too, while they're distracted. Now that's the best use of horses possible, right? And what I actually did was over here, I mean they're fighting, right? And who's running? The light infantry are running. They got their asses kicked. But I send it here, and then I send these horses to attack these grenadiers, charge them again. So what you can do is you can micro. You can send your horses back and charge, and send your horses back and charge again, and it's a morale shock, I think it's called, and it might make them flee. I mean, they've lost a lot of their guys already. They've lost 60 of their guys, but it's not enough to make them want to run, right? And now this is how I make them run here. I send the horses here to the back here, and then because I charged them, there you go, there, that's it. They run, right? Now, next thing I do is I finish these light infantry off with the same thing. I send more horses in I send both the horses to charge these, and they get owned. So I send the next thing I do is I send these Swiss foot inside this building here, because what I did was the building was 40%. The building was 40% damaged, so the computer didn't send these grenadiers into the building to hide in the building. If they're in the building, it's a big pain in the ass to get them out, right? To send in units to melee them. But basically, just send these foot into the building right now because it's 40%, and it's still good enough for you. It's not good enough for the computer, but it's good enough for you to use, right? As you see, I send the horses back. These ones are going to flee soon. And then I sort of send the horses behind the building to try and hide. I mean, let's take a look back at these artillery in the center. They're doing pretty well, actually. They've been routed at least once. But if you look at the unicorn here, they've actually managed to kill 3 or 4 out of 4 of the the unicorn's cannon. And it was at this point that I knew I've won, right? I destroyed the center cannons without even trying. And I haven't even started my attack yet, right? My attack is in the back here. It's getting ready. And the only thing that I'm watching is the clock, because I actually lost. I played this map many times with many different strategies. And I lost, and I needed to read the forum to figure out how to do it. But I had a little bit of a twist on my own strategy, which was to basically send everything to the back and attack. Try to attack the. Try to charge the infantry of my horses when I could, right? Basically, I'm gonna lose a lot of my horses doing this, attacking from the front, right? If you here, look, the Cossacks, they're coming. They're sending basically all their troops to the village to try and hold the village in the north, and the horses are going around in the back here to try and avoid them. The musketeers, I want to avoid them because I don't really want to charge them. I want to get them away. I don't know if I charge these or not. I may charge them, I'm not sure. But I'm sure that I put my Swiss foot into this building here. Right. And here are my grenadiers and my chasseurs, they're standing here. I think I send them all the way around. Now what I do is, I mean, if you press space, you can see where they're going. So I'm sending the horses around to avoid them because they're going around. It's a little bit of hide and seek. And these ones here, I didn't know what these were. They're Opolenchny. They're Russian militia. And I thought they were elite troops, but they're not. But it's actually good that I didn't charge them, right? Because they have a very, very dangerous charge bonus. They have the most charge bonus in the game for some reason. So by not attacking them with this Swiss foot, which I was very conservative about it, right? I hit the Swiss foot inside this town hall because I wasn't sure what they were, right? And you see the horses are going around the building. I'm trying to avoid fighting. Now the Swiss foot, I'm not sure what they do here. I think they shoot and try and kill the musketeers. See, and I at this point I didn't really figure out that you need to make. See, I kept my troops together. I could have made a long line of troops to have more firepower. I didn't really do that. Hey, the Cossack cavalry, they're coming around here, and a lot more of my horses die here because they get charged. Right. And I send the horses to the back here to hit the musketeers. And I send the Swiss foot into melee. They go into melee here. They go and they start their fighting. And then the horses goes to the back here, hit them in the back. And I beat them that way. Now, let's take a look at the right side. I'm fighting these musketeers with the bulk of my army here. And they're not going to survive very long. I mean, you can sort of guess. Yeah, I see they're running. The horses are running because I let too many of these horses die. So it's very touch and go, right? On the left side, I wasn't doing very well. The Swiss foot are all I have left. A few horses, and they've still got a lot of horses here. So at a certain point, I decided to put them inside the building. Right, it's a good thing they ran. 103 left. I don't know what made them run. Probably just me attacking with whatever horses I had left, right? Made them run. And now they're attacking the flank, and now they're gonna go inside this building here, right? And the Opolenchi are actually opening fire, and they're winning. Now let's take a look here. I started attacking the musketeers with horses and everything I've got. It's not very good decision, right? Because I lose a lot of horses, and I mean these Polish Legion. I have to conserve them for the battle later on. So as you can see, what happens is I sort of roll up this entire line from the right side.
We have taken the building, sir.
But yeah, I have the Swiss foot inside the building, so they're gonna stay in the building. And these light infantry, they rally. There's 70 of them left, so I send them in. And these horses, the cuirassiers, the heavy cavalry, there's still some left as well. And I stay in this building for the rest of the battle, right? They don't have the troops to take me out of the building. And here it goes. I'm starting to attack one of the flèches, the lifeguard foot, the elite troops. They're very strong. So on the forum, I read that the guy had two of his battalions routed by this before he was managed to kill it. I didn't want that to happen, so I have my horses here, and I attacked him. What I should have done is sent them through here and attacked them in the back, right? I'm not sure I did that. I think I attacked them in front.
Sir.
See, a lot of my units are running because they get routed. I think those are the light infantry that routed in the village. And what is not good here is I'm sending these, in the center where my artillery was. I had those two from the fight with the horses. I'm sending them all the way around back to the village, so that takes a long time to walk. Now, down here, what I do is I send my horses, and when I looked at the replay, a lot of them died. So if you look at Murat here, he's got 45, and by the time he's done, there's only about 20 of them left, right? As I attack head on, and they're very good at killing horses because they're good at stabbing horses, right? So a lot of these horses die. What I should have done was sent the horses around the back and charge them from the back. And you see they're even winning right now. It says combatant winning. So it looks like there's a lot of horses, but the soldiers are actually winning. So what I do is I send these lancers to kill this artillery here. And then you can sort of guess what I do after I kill the artillery with the lancers. I attack the lifeguard foot in the back with the lancers, and that's what makes them run, actually. So the game is more about morale shocks than it is about actually killing everyone. I mean, it says they're winning slightly, but as soon as I charge them with these lancers in the back, they rout. So you're gonna see that in a second. So that's it there, they get charged, and that's it, they rout. Now Dragoons, 27 left. Murat only has 15 horses left. He counts as a heavy cavalry, and these lancers have 34. So I lost a lot of freaking horses just charging like that. It wasn't a very good charge. I mean, the Russian musketeers are running, and the grenadiers are fighting them. They're getting shot up by my own troops. So there's a lot of friendly fire going on. And by now, it's very clear that I've already won, right? There's only this group of grenadiers here. Then I have to take out this group of grenadiers there, and that's it, right? Everything else is vulnerable to me. Over here, nothing's going on. The Swiss foot and the house are actually holding the line here. So let's set this very fast and get this over with. I'll line everything up. What I have left, which isn't a lot, I don't have a lot left. It's a very close battle. And what's funny is down here, if you look at my artillery, both my artillery pieces are still alive, right? I mean, foot artillery walking, they're going back to man the cannons again, right? So they got kicked out of their cannons, but they're going back to man the cannons again, just like the other ones. So both my artillery survived. Then I sent what's left of my horses to do this another frontal charge like this. And this time the charge is successful, I think, because there's enough horses, and these grenadiers are just, yeah, they're not as good as those lifeguard foot were. The lifeguards. Now, this is what I have. I just roll these up here right now. So what happens is I think at least one more unit of my horses routes somehow. I don't know how. They lose too much morale. And then I send the horses up to kill these cannons, because there's not much left, right? There's only this one left, and I think this
Our
one.
men are running, sir.
I think this one moves. I'm not sure, but I think they move into the village, because in the village, this Opulence here, I think I managed to get them to run. I'm not sure. There they go. There they go. So they're going towards the village. Either I make them run, or basically I bring more units to the village. Our men are running, sir. I bring more units to the village, so it makes them redeploy some of their last reserves. Now I send my horses in to defeat the artillery here. I mean, here the dragoons, I thought they could shoot over this little thing, and that's why frontal attack is not advised, because people can't actually, your soldiers can't climb these hills, right? They've got to go to the front. So attacking to the front is pretty suicidal. I'm sure you could beat it, and maybe if it, even in very hard mode, you could probably beat it, but I didn't attack to the front. I went all the way around in the forest, right? So here they come, horses here, horses there, and they're totally defeated. After I kill this, their entire army routes, I think. So there goes the artillery there. Then I send the horses over there, and that's it. Everyone
Our men are running, sir.
And they managed to rout a group of my soldiers again. So that's it. I've lost 1,000 and I killed 1,300. So it's a very, very close battle. But and I could have done a lot better if I didn't let so many of my horses die, right? And that's basically it. Battle of Borodino. I hope you enjoyed the battle. I mean, I can go around here, and there's no more mini map, but if you had to sum up beating this thing on very hard, they had in the forum said it very well. You distract your soldiers so that you can kill the general really early in the battle, and then you circle around into the forest all the way behind, and you attack everything in the back, right? That's how you win this. I'm sure there's a way that you can attack through the front, through basically these forts here, and get it to win. And you could probably get a very close victory attacking the front too, but I'm not sure if that's possible and very hard, because they've got a lot of elite troops, as you saw. They had the lifeguards, they had the grenadiers. They had multiple units of grenadiers. Um, all the 6-foot guys who can kick your ass. And they've got this artillery which is basically situated in perfect positions, right? So direct assault is really not advisable for this map. Later on too, in some of the other maps, Waterloo will be coming up, of course. Can't escape Waterloo, but basically you make these moves that are not very historical, right? Because historically, Napoleon, when he did attack, what happened was he would just push forward and and he'd be able to attack and seize the flèches. And he wouldn't have to do anything unusual like that. Basically, just attack through the front. And there were multiple charges by the cavalry against the artillery pieces. And what you have to do if you attack with horses on the cavalry, you have to have a certain kind of spike. So you run up to the cannons and you try and use the spike to try and spike the cannons to get them to make it so that they can't be used anymore. And then you run the horses back. So it's sort of like a little raid to sort of screw up the cannons. That's not represented in the game mechanics as far as I know. So you can't conduct these little raids of horses, and sometimes the horses or cavalry didn't have those spikes, right? They were not prepared to attack the cannons properly. Another thing is that, as I mentioned at the start of the game, Napoleon had this chance where he could have sent in the Imperial Guard to crush the retreating troops. He didn't do it. I was looking forward to doing that in this, but that's not represented very well in the game either, because I guess they thought if they gave you those elite troops, the map would be too easy because you would just send them at the very start. I mean, if you're playing, this is just a historical battle, so I'm playing the battles one by one. It's not a campaign, right? So you don't really care how many of your soldiers died. But in real life, Napoleon was very afraid of losing too many of his soldiers, especially his Imperial Guard, because they were his last reserve of troops, and he was very far from France, right? Thousands of kilometers, miles, whatever, away from France, and he couldn't afford to lose his last 30,000 troops that were loyal to him, right? But if he had sent them in, it would have been a better ending for him, possibly, because as you know, he took Moscow, and Moscow was burned. It was a scorched earth policy, and then he had to do a fighting retreat back to France because the Russians did not surrender, right? The emperor didn't want it, the Tsar didn't want to negotiate. He didn't care that all his armies had been defeated, and Napoleon couldn't really hold the ground because there was nothing to take. It wasn't built up enough, and everything was burnt. Right. So I love to keep talking, but I'm coughing a lot. Hopefully you enjoyed the Battle of Borodino, and if anyone needs any help beating this, I'm very hard. Send me a message. I think I can reproduce this every time now. It's not too hard. Especially at the start, when you send soldiers across this little ford here. Where you want to position them is basically not too far out like this, basically at the very end of this ford here, right? Put in the square here, so that the artillery at the top, they don't have a good line of sight on the soldiers. They don't end up routing them so quickly. All right, that's what you need to do. And I did luck out a bit with my artillery, because if you see my artillery at the back, it's still alive. So most people, the artillery gets destroyed by that unicorn, But if you focus fire the unicorn at the very start of the game, you might get lucky and you can kill them early on. I'm told that if you target the ground in front of the cannons, it's actually a better chance to hit the cannon, right? So you can actually do that. Anyway, I was lucky this map, and I made some bad decisions sending the horses to charge head on, but still, the strategy was the strategy itself was not luck. It was basically based on that guy's forum post. I don't remember what his handle was, but thank you very much for that, and it was pretty fun to finally see it happen because it involves sending all the soldiers around the back to kill their general early on, right? Anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the stream, and peace be with everyone. All right, have a good night.